is over, but we don't know who won. And because it is so close, still undecided in so many places, now there's all this wrangling going on over counting the ballots. You know, and the thing I've noticed is that each side is at least claiming that if everything was fair, if everything was on the up and up, their man would come out victorious. But they're also just as certain that the other side is trying to steal it. The other side is trying to cheat. The Trump people are just absolutely certain that the Biden people are trying to cheat. The Biden people are absolutely certain that the Trump people are trying to cheat. Now, am I the only one that's getting the impression that each side was going to do whatever it takes to win? I mean, win at all costs. That seems to be the biggest message that I've heard since late Tuesday night. Now, when you think about it, the way some people think, that might not be a bad thing. I mean, what's a little cheating if it gets the right man into this all-important position? I mean, when you think about the positions that each one has staked out, you could see how their followers would say, my goodness, we need to do anything and everything we can to get President Trump to stay in there for another 4 years. He's pro-life. He's pro-law and order. If it takes a little fudging here and there, let's do it. And the Biden people, they could say the same thing. I mean, they are certain that he's the one that's going to be able to take this pandemic and bring it to an end. They're certain that he's the one that's going to be able to right all the racial wrongs. What's a stuffed ballot box here and there, if that's what it takes to get him into the position? I don't know if that's really what's going on. But you know, one thing I do know for certain is that's not the way God's people are supposed to function. God's people are really and truly supposed to want every legal, legitimate vote counted. And we want them counted soon. Why? So that we can know who to get behind. So that we can know who to start praying for passionately and how that person will lead in the next 4 years. You know, it's kind of interesting. One thing I've thought about over the last day or so, it was said by one of the most godly people I ever knew, Ed Lang. Ed's been with the Lord for probably 10 years, and he said this wasn't original with him, but I never heard anyone else say it, so I'm going to attribute it to Ed. Ed said, one thing about being God's people, it is never right to do wrong to do right. Did you catch that? Let me say it again. It's never right to do wrong to do right. In other words, the ends never justify the means. As God's people, we maybe have our opinion as to who we wish had won this election. We may have our opinion as to who would have been the better candidate. And we don't know whether that person's going to get it or whether that person's not going to get it. But the truth of the matter is, what we want is to be able to get behind the leader and start obeying 1 Timothy 2. We want to pray for that person. We want to support that person. We want to pray that that person will do anything and everything he can to help us lead a quiet and tranquil life that makes it conducive for people to accept the gospel of Jesus Christ. You know, we need to be praying for our country right now because this is a difficult time. But we also need to be praying for ourselves because this is a test. Are we going to do anything and everything we can to get the person in that we think should be there? Are we going to do anything and everything, or at least give the message out that we'd do anything and everything we can? Or are we willing to accept what God gives us and then pray for that person and support that person? I think that's what God's purpose for us is right now. Hey, I trust you're going to have a great weekend. Want to encourage you to join us on Sunday morning, 10:45 in person. We have a community group that meets at 9:30. It's in person. If you need to be online, we live stream our service. It starts at 10:45, but it's also available anytime after. Hey, God bless. Have a great weekend. We love you.